Following on from my last Descent video, we'll be looking at the comms from number 30 up to 35. Like always, I will be referencing intel that I've discussed in previous videos, so if you haven't seen them yet, I have a playlist set up, and you can find this in the description.
Sir, I really think we should take a closer look at Amherst.
I've already given local Leos a heads up. They've investigated and cleared him.
I'm looking at his online activity.
Do you have a warrant to monitor him?
No.
How do you have access to his online activity? Are you hacking him?
No, of course not. It's the Isaac servers.
Fruit from the poison tree.
Since when do you care where the fruit comes from?
Waller's trying to crack down on privacy protections, getting ready for re-elections, and cybersecurity is a hot topic.
So we are just supposed to ignore an active threat for politics?
We're supposed to serve at the pleasure of the president. If we want to continue to serve this president, we need to follow his lead.
Understood, sir. I will try to find some non-poisonous fruit on Amherst.
Back to the NSA analyst Calvin McManus story arc around her discovery of Amherst. She is still pushing for Calvin to pursue the leads, but Calvin has left it in the hands of local Leos, or law enforcement officers. I actually had to look that up, I'd never heard of them being referred to as Leos before. This wasn't quite the level of investigation that the analyst was implying needs to be carried out. Of course, Calvin, in his position, is more concerned about the political side of things, and how this will affect him. Given President Waller's stance on privacy, Calvin is choosing to ignore what the program he organized and paid for is saying, in order to secure his position for the future.
We only have one team operational ready in New York.
Prioritize the tree.
Sir, I really think you should reconsider. We should focus our efforts on Amherst.
He's a theoretical threat. The eco-terrorists have been clear about their target.
Local Leos can handle them. There's no reason to send our team to intercept.
This is the priority. If you can't support that, I will put in your transfer to the Roswell office myself.
Understood. I will order all units to report to the tree lighting ceremony.
Stop worrying about Amherst. He lives in a fantasy of his own making. He's not a threat.
I hope you're right, sir.
Calvin pushes the NSA analyst to prioritize the eco-terrorists who are planning to set alight to the Christmas tree in New York over the threat of what Gordon Amherst has been planning. While the analyst challenges this, Calvin threatens to stand her down if she doesn't comply.
I fucking told him! Told who what? Fucking Cal, that motherfucker McManus! Okay, you're gonna have to take a breath. I warned him about Amherst and he sent us after a fucking Christmas tree! Okay, you've lost me. We could have stopped what was happening. What's happening? You're kidding, right? No. The outbreak! That mystery flu that's going around. They haven't briefed you? Why would anyone brief me? Ortiz hasn't told you anything? I don't work with them anymore. Division hasn't briefed you? I don't know what you're talking about. Viv, I'm not a fucking idiot. I've seen your watch. I know you're one of them. You were here for their simulation training. So much for super secret society of elite agents that no one knows about. Where the hell do you think your tech came from? DARPA? You're not wrong. But Viv, we're fucked. This was an attack. This was engineered. Your elite plainclothes average person turned last great hope bullshit experiment that was never supposed to be activated is about to get activated, and it's all my fault. It's not your fault. I knew we should have gone after Amherst, and we didn't. I followed orders, and I made sure my team focused on the wrong thing. We were so busy trying to save Christmas, we destroyed the world. That's a little extreme, even for you. I should have stood up to him. Who? Cal? He's too well connected. You did the right thing. He will take the hit for this, not you. No, he won't. Guys like that are untouchable. They never pay the price for their fuck-ups. Everyone else will burn before he gets a paper cut. He'll probably find a way to get a promotion out of this. Newest Secretary of Defense. Or President. I'd rather move to Sweden. Could you imagine? President Calvin McManus. That would really be the end of the world.
And this is it, potentially the climax to the storyline. The NSA analyst is venting to former colleague Vivian Conley about Calvin's incompetence and lack of willingness to listen to her. This is very early on after the outbreak, before the first wave of division agents had been activated. Conley, as a division agent, hadn't even been briefed on what's going on. Saying that Calvin won't be impacted by this is true, as we've seen over the last few months of in-game time. In fact, if there are any further additions to this line of comms, I suspect it could go down the line of the analyst potentially finding out that Kelvin was not just aware of what Amherst was doing, but was helping him and was doing his part in keeping law enforcement off his back. From very early on, there have been rumours of Amherst being supported and assisted by those with deep ties within the government. Perhaps Kelvin was a part of this, or Natalya, as she has ties to him.
It's a pass. You haven't even seen what she can do yet. Is it more fire? Yes. We aren't interested. Why not? The increased temperature overloads the cooling system and fries the motherboard. So yeah, no fire. We can insulate the unit. We tried that with your last experiment. It never went into proof of concept. You never went into proof of concept. I tested your designs myself. The theory doesn't hold up in practical applications. Then you didn't follow my design. Or maybe your design is flawed.
This is another reminder that these comms aren't being released in order. We already know that Conley would end up being released from her contract with Ortiz Robotics. I look forward to the point in time when we've received all 52 of them, so I can lay them out in order in their respective story arcs. Conley is still obsessively pushing for a fire-related tech, yet keeps getting turned down. As we know, a lot of this did actually come to fruition in the end, with the brand and gear sets, as well as a lot of the SHD tech that was being used from day one of the first wave being activated.
How can I help you, sir?
How difficult would it be to retrofit the facility to a testing facility for the new Ortiz Robotics tech?
It would heavily depend on the kind of test you were looking to perform.
Field test new defensive equipment in a simulated battlefield, urban, or CQB environment.
Live rounds and munitions?
Not necessarily, depending on how realistic the simulation is.
Do you need us to run field tests or a simulation?
Both.
We have several open-air facilities that could support the kind of tests you're talking about.
We need to be underground. We can't run this like SEALs training. This team is beyond classified.
Okay, well, if you're looking for discretion, the facility should be able to handle the request. They may need time to retrofit some of the ballistic shielding and build some training facilities.
How much time?
Depends on how realistic you want your simulation to be, and how much needs to be practical or virtual effects.
I get the feeling that this is from before we learned about the descent simulation program, or is perhaps something new altogether, maybe a separate simulation program for hunters. I don't think so though, just based on the questions the analyst is asking, and from what Kelvin is saying, I think this is just another situation where the comms aren't in order.
They can't kill Anna. They won't. You put Isaac together in a week. There is no way he's as sophisticated as her. What the fuck are they thinking? That you just changed the voice and everything else is the same. But that's not what you did. That's not how the systems are built. I know that. You know that. No one else seems to give a shit about what is reality. As long as Isaac hits the mark and says his line, everything will be fine. This is like that time they released an AI on social media, and it went from a manic pixie dream girl into a flat earth climate change Holocaust-denying Nazi in 24 hours. It's not that bad. Isaac will not challenge people, but he also won't prioritize the intel the same way as Anna. They aren't the same. Isaac will serve his purpose, but it's not the same. You can't let them kill her. She's still there, lurking beneath the code. Dormant and saved on the mobile shade server.
At this point in time, after all of these comms, it would be easy to assume that everyone is aware of Anna. But in reality, the only people who actually know anything about her is Claire and Alexander Ortiz and Vivian Conley. While it was decided that they wouldn't proceed with Anna, due to all of the work that Claire has put into the superior AI system, she wasn't exactly ready to ditch it altogether. Anna is still there, deep within the coding of the mobile SHD server. This is interesting. We're starting to see that the mobile SHD servers are a little more important than we had originally thought, and potentially why it was so important that we stopped the recruiter and Natalya from getting their hands on it. For a while there, it seemed as though these servers were just some sort of backup or signal boosting system for the SHD network. Although I guess it does make sense. If they are there to be used in place of the network, if it went down, it would need to contain all of the coding. Except it sounds like the mobile server contains that little bit extra, including Anna. It could just be me having had a little bit of time off recently, but these comms are just starting to get to the point where I'm getting a little bit confused and starting to trip over myself. I can't wait to lay these out in order at the end, so I can properly pick through them and see if I've missed anything. There are another 6 descent comms to work through now, so I should have something out in the next few days. Thank you very much for watching, and Extremis Malus, Extrema Remedia.